Call to order this meeting of the working session of the Three Rivers Local School District for Tuesday, September 25th, 2018, 6 p.m. We will all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Gunn, roll.
Mr. McDonald?
Here.
Mr. Murphy?
Here.
Mr. Ozer?
Here.
Ms. Stafford? Here. Ms. Wells?
Okay. Time for hearing of the public, and this is a hearing of the public for things on the agenda. I would ask that you not talk about the facility, the wellness facility at this point. Wait for the trustees. Is there anybody for the hearing of the public? All right. Mr. Hockenberry, the superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting today. I have a few items, items A through I, and I'd like to block them. I'll just start real quick. We had 4 retirements. So we received item A, we received a retirement letter from Kathy Flotting, retirement letter from Julie Moser, grade 4. Item C, a retirement letter for Vivian Volkenheim, grade 3. Item D is a substitute. I'd like to recommend a substitute, Zach Wainsey, as substitute for $30 per hour as needed. Item E is Austin Motley as a band volunteer for 2018-2019. We had a couple operation items for this evening. Item F is a reduction in guaranteed hours for Jeanette Baldridge. We're reducing her from 7.5 to 7.15. Tom Geets reduced from 6 hours to 4, and Tracy Liepert from 6 to 4 hours. Item G is recommendation for Lance Whitehurst as an onboard instructor as needed for our transportation department. Item I is in lieu of transportation, students for 2018-2019 school year. And my final item is item I, amendment to TDG contract agreement that was outlined in your packet.
Any questions?
Just to clarify, that is 7.15. That's not a typo. It's just 7.15.
Was, if I can ask, on item F, were these just not the need, or was it their request, or?
They requested that they not work the full guarantee that they originally had signed up for.
And then if we could talk a little bit about the amendment to the TDG contract and explain why that's necessary, I'd appreciate it.
So the contract was amended because moving Paul Rui, our events coordinator, from second shift to now to our security team. So Paul is now part of our security team, and so instead of us hiring, backfilling Paul's position, TDG hired that position, so that had to be an addendum to the contract. And that person, Brad is his name, I met him this week. He started last Thursday, so we're really excited to have him.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion we approve items A through I as read.
I'll second.
Mrs. Gummer, the roll, please.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Ozer?
Yes.
Ms. Stafford?
Yes.
Mrs. Gummer, the treasurer's report.
Yes, what I'm doing now is I need to recommend the approval of the fiscal year 19, the final appropriations. As you know, back in June, I had to submit a temporary to the Hamilton County Auditor Office saying what our revenue and our expenditures is going to be for this year. And as I do that, I monitor it through the summer, and this is our final, which has to be at the Hamilton County Auditor's Office by the 30th. And this is our final report to them to tell involves all of our resources and revenue and all our potential expenditures for the fiscal year.
Any questions? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item 18.
I'll second.
Mr. Gunler, the roll, please.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Ozer?
Yes.
Ms. Stafford?
Yes.
We're a little early. Is everybody from the board here?
6:30.
Well, no, I know. It was us. I didn't know how long this was going to take. While we have a little time, if I can, there were a couple things that, since we're all here, that we can discuss. I got another email from LEI wanting us to firm up our dates. The last thing I heard, and I kind of hate to have this conversation without Danette here, but that I believe the comment I got from Danette when I was talking about it was that she would prefer to keep them on board nights if possible. And I just want to know if there's any other feedback that anybody else has.
I gave you a couple of dates.
Okay. Is there anybody else that has any?
Yeah, I sent you there's a date, I know I can't make because I'm in a conference that day, so I know that. And then I also had similar feedback that if we could kind of move the discussion to work sessions, that would be ideal, just because it's really hard to find other times that we're all available to do it, so.
Are Saturdays out for people if I can get them in for Saturday? Because I know they're going to want to try to, if we go for work sessions, we're probably not going to get through the process till the end of, well, Lord knows how long. But because we'll have one in October and November, we won't have one in December, then we'll come back around in January. And I was just wondering if Saturday is an option for people, not.
It would depend on what Saturday.
Okay.
I could do Saturdays, preferably in the morning.
Well, yeah. 12 o'clock in the afternoon during the football season.
Oh, not for that reason.
Okay. So, just so I have a little more flexibility, I can get back with them. And that's why we have everybody here. I don't think so. If I can get a clarification, the parade on Thursday, is that 6 or 5:30?
5:30.
5:30, okay. Very good.
We should be there about 4 till 5.
Okay.
Right? 4 till 5. Got a lot of that to do.
Awesome, okay. At this point, if nobody else has anything else, I think we'll take a pause and adjourn for a short time until all the board trustees get here. Thank you. Going to reconvene this meeting of the Three Rivers Local School District Board of Education meeting. We'd like to thank the Miami Township Board of Trustees for coming in and meeting with us in this joint session. I'm going to hand the mic off for the the Board of Education's part to Jim Murphy, who has been handling this and working with the township on this project. He's more versed and he can talk you through it. So the board is going to call their meeting to order.
Okay, first I gotta see how to get this thing working. Yes, this is our,
It'll take a second.
hear me? Okay, this is our meeting with the Three Rivers School District Board. We're with Miami Township. I will introduce, I am Paul Beck, President of the Board. Dan Blanton, Trustee. Jack Reinier, Trustee. Cindy Oster, our Fiscal Officer. This is actually an actual meeting for us. We record it as an actual meeting. So, in opening the meeting, I would like to have Ms. Oster do a roll call for the board.
Mr. Beck?
Here.
Mr. Reiniger? Here. Mr. Blanton?
Thank you. So it is official Township Board along with the School District Board. We're here to discuss the facility as far as the community facility, natatorium, and et cetera. I guess at this point I'll turn it over to Jim Murphy. I've been working probably the last 2 to 3 years with Jim on this, and we'll let Jim go from here.
Thanks, Paul. Well, thank you all for coming. Obviously tonight we're here to talk about the Community Health Plex, and I guess before we start, I wanted to give everybody kind of 3 scenarios that we talked about as a board and with the township. And then after that, I'm going to have Mike Holmes from Midtown Partners present kind of the whole idea around how the facility will be used, and we'll talk about membership and all those things. And again, after that, we really want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want as a community. Is this important? So we know which direction we need to take, both from the township as well as the board. So what the 3 scenarios that we talked about, discussed as a board, were the township is willing to commit around $8 million, and the total project today is about a $12 million project. So that would mean the school district would have to come up with an additional $4 million, and we would have to discuss, obviously, how we're going to do that. There's multiple ways to do it, but we would have to figure that out on how to raise those funds. The second scenario would be, and again, that the building would be jointly owned by the township and jointly owned by the school district. The second scenario would be the township would build the complex. They would own the entire facility. And then as far as our contribution, we would make an annual payment based on our use or whatever agreement we have with the township for over a 30-year period. And then those 2 scenarios, it's a full health plex. It would have a pool, a therapeutic pool where they could do aerobic exercises. It would have 2 workout areas, a walking track, as well as a weight room. And then the third scenario would be to shrink that down a little bit, where it would be an $8 million project, and it would just include a pool, a weight facility, and a walking track. And that would be around an $8 million facility. We do have 3 locations on the school grounds that we could put the community health complex. One would be back here by the, if you know where we have a new wrestling facility back there, it would be back there. The rectangle out in front of the school would be the other location. And then the third location would be behind the football stadium, right next to the Great Miami River. So those were the 3 scenarios we talked about. And now what I'd like to do is introduce Mike Holmes from Midtown Health Partners. And what I'll let give Mike his background, but what they would do is they would run the complex. And they have experience running a lot of the Mercy facilities. They do this in joint venture with West Claremont. It's been very successful. So with that, Mike, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. I have a loud voice, but it always helps. First of all, thank you to Jim and to Paul and the boards for having us here, and to the community to listen to this. And as Jim mentioned, we've been in talks for about 2 years on this project. Basically, a community health plex, 3 Rivers Health Plex. And so first I'll tell you a little bit about who we are, Midtown Health. The next line there. We've been in business about 40 years. We have 8 clubs around the country that we own outright. Those are called Midtown Athletic Clubs. And then the Midtown Health portion of Midtown, these are clubs that we operate but we don't own. But we do have an owner's mentality because we own 8 clubs ourselves. But here's some of the companies that we work with. Of course, you recognize Mercy Health here. I've been here 10 years now with Mercy Health, running the 4 existing health plexes. Well, 5 now because we opened up West Claremont with the West Claremont local school district about a year ago. But also you see we work with like McDonald's Corporation running their clubs, General Motors, CDW, the Wrigley Building in Chicago. So we've had about 40, 50 years experience in the club business. So the vision here, and I don't want to speak for Paul or Jim, but as I've been listening during these meetings, is to provide a campus where we would deliver first-class health, education, wellness, and recreation to the 3 Rivers community. And that campus would consist of the 3 Rivers High School, the West Park, the Mercy Health medical offices, and Mercy Healthplex would be that campus. And Jim mentioned a little bit, there's 3 scenarios, I understand, but here's kind of what we're basically looking at is a cardio strength area where people could work out, treadmills, ellipticals, that type of thing, weight machines, a turf functional area, group exercise studio, cycle studio, a mind-body studio for yoga, tai chi, those types of things, a kids club area, lobby reception, a competitive pool with seating for competitions, a warm water pool for arthritis classes, for water fitness, kids learn to swim lessons, that type of thing, family locker rooms, men's and women's locker rooms, a massage area, and then conference rooms so we can provide wellness education to people. So a big question is how does Midtown Health project how many members that a facility would have? So we've done this quite a bit because we've done so many facilities, and this is what we look at, and we have your numbers in there. We look at how many people are in a given area. So for example, we look at a 5-mile radius. So this site right here, we took a 5-mile radius, and there's 47,490 people in that area. Age adjustment, because generally health clubs are 21 to 75 as the people who buy the memberships. Of course, there's kids using it too. But so we do an age adjustment, and that came out to about 66% of that were in the right age demographic. Then we take an industry penetration. This is a statistic used throughout the club industry that about 20% of the people will join a health and fitness club. Now, we took out the competition factor. Although it's interesting, in this area there isn't a whole lot of competition. There's some good places with Snap Fitness and then the CrossFit, but in other markets we see a lot more competition, but in this area there isn't, but we still factored out the competition because we wanted to be conservative in our projection. So we came up that we would end up with 2,194, that's memberships. There might be with that about 4,000 or 5,000 people, because on a membership, if it's a family membership, it'd be a mom and a dad and kids and that type of thing, or a couple membership would be 2 people in that. Wanted to tell you a case study because nothing's better than seeing what has happened. And this particular case study will show you the West Claremont Healthplex. They opened about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, in 2017. We have more than 1,000 memberships in the first year, representing more than 2,000 members. That's way ahead of our pro forma that we put together because we try to be very conservative. Over 150 West Claremont students are members of the club, and then we actually have 25 students who we employ at the Healthplex, giving them employment opportunities. Financially, the club is $64,000 or 53% ahead of budget, so we're ahead of the pro forma that we had set. It started turning a profit last month in month 11, which we're really excited about, and the treasurer of the school district, of course, is very happy with that because now it's paying its own way, and as it grows, it'll actually be able to turn a profit that'll go back to the school system. And we're really proud of what we've done in the community with that. Is there's been more than 200 children in the first year of the community, some members, some non-members, that have learned to swim in this facility. One of the things that we've just started recently, which is really kind of nice, is the school district came to us and said, there's so many kids that really want to get involved in athletic competition, but they're not quite good enough to make the team, but they still want to compete. So we're offering intramural basketball leagues, intramural flag football, intramural swimming, all sorts of things so that the kids who don't make the teams are also able to participate. And I think foremost in what we've accomplished there is we've really enriched the lives of the West Claremont students, teachers, and the entire community on a daily basis. And so I've got some pictures here. Pictures, say 1,000 words, so a few things just to show you that how we've enriched those lives. First of all, it's members getting fit. This is a fitness program that we have every January called the Transformation Challenge, and here's a bunch of members getting fit. Then providing opportunities for students. This is a student of West Claremont High School, and she's working as a lifeguard, which is pretty neat. We're delivering wellness to employees, to the faculty and staff at West Claremont School. We have a program called Wellness Discovery Program that we've developed in conjunction with Mercy Health that takes people that maybe are trending towards diabetes or trending towards heart issues or any type of other issues. We put them in a 12-week program to give them a real soft introduction to fitness. Because a lot of times fitness or joining a health club can be very intimidating, but this is kind of a bridge program to get people into the club, and that's been very successful for the faculty and staff at West Claremont. I think more than anything what I really enjoy is that we change people's lives. This is a senior member that came in, and she came in a walker and joined the club, and she's really involved, as you can see, in our water fitness program, and now she doesn't need her walker anymore. She's lost about 40 pounds. Her kids and her grandkids are just ecstatic, so it's really cool to see those lives change. Getting kids active through, I told you about the 200 kids taking swim lessons. We also use the tennis courts that are there at the school and teach kids tennis lessons. We have summer camps. We have basketball leagues for kids that go on in the gym, and so we really get the kids active. Enhancing self-esteem. I mean, when people exercise, it's been proven, they feel better, they have better self-esteem, they're less depressed, and here's a member that enjoys his lap swimming every day, and you can see that big smile on his face that comes from having wellness in his life. Having fun, we not only just want to work out, but we want to make sure we have fun events. This is an 80s day that we had in our group exercise studio, so it's a place where you can have fun. Reducing stress, I told you about the mind-body studio. This is the mind-body studio. You can see this is a yoga class that is going on. You can see people of all different ages in the class, so reducing stress in this day and age is very, very important, and that's what these clubs do. And then lastly, the picture is serving the community. The members are certainly going to be served. We also do things for the community. This is what we call a dive-in movie. You can see the screens in the upper left. The movie isn't on right now, but we'll play a movie, a Disney movie or something, and people float around and watch the movie. And these events, as you can see, we just packed the pool for these events. We had an Easter egg hunt in the pool where we put some plastic Easter eggs in there, and the kids went and swam for it. Had about 200 people at that event. So that's pretty much what it is in a nutshell, and just wanted to give you a kind of an overview. And I know are you going to take questions now, Jim?
Yeah, I first, do you have any questions for Mike on the presentation, what he went over? Before we start here?
Are the demographics of West Claremont similar to our demographics?
Yes, we've done a side-by-side. They're very similar. I mean, every demographic is a little different, and but it was interesting from a standpoint of the income levels and also education status, the different metrics that we look at, the age and that type of thing. It was very similar.
Yeah, I do want to make it clear too that the West Claremont facility is actually owned by the district. Ours would be, like I said, either a joint ownership or the township would own the whole building. But the pro formas would still be accurate.
In West Claremont, what's the cost of membership?
In West Claremont, it is $59 for a membership. Here, we had established the membership in our pro formas at being at $45. That's an individual membership. A little bit less here, although the demographics were similar, the income levels were a little bit lower here, so we factored in a lower price. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry, that's a monthly fee, $45 per month. Yes?
What would a family membership then be?
Then a family membership, I have that right here.
You proposed
Was it? Yeah, I was going to say right, just a little under $100 for a family membership. Other questions? questions? Yes?
You mentioned turning a profit at West Claremont, so those profits, is that a profit share? What percentage goes back to the community or Three Rivers? How does that work?
Yeah, with the school district, 100% of the profits goes to them. Okay, we are a management company. We get a monthly fee that is established, and then all the profits go to the school district. In this case, obviously, because it would be a joint venture, they would determine how it would get split up. But Midtown Health does not get any of that. Now, there are some scenarios where they would rather put us on a profit share. Okay, and we do have scenarios where our base fee is less, and then if the club is profitable, we can arrange it that way too. But anyway, it is this, whatever money's made generally goes right to the owner of the entity.
Usually accept the silver sneakers, so my parents like.
You know, that's a great question. We generally don't. Some of our clubs do. But the problem with silver sneakers is they will only reimburse you about $3 a visit. Okay? And it's just not enough to pay for a really, really nice facility. Now, we are in discussions with them, okay, to try to get them to up the fee that they would pay us. The other thing we're trying to say to them is, could you please let them use that as, you know, if they take whatever money is going to Silver Sneakers, let's say it's $40 a month or whatever, and have them use that against their membership charge, okay? Right now, they'll make you have to offer it free, or they won't let you offer it at all. So I've been in discussions. Some of our facilities in the Chicago area and in the Detroit area are using Silver Sneakers. We're trying to get that, but we just couldn't make it with the amount of reimbursement that they give us. Good question, though.
So people aren't confused. At one point, we were thinking about getting Mercy involved, but you're a management company for Mercy. Mercy's not involved in this.
Well, we had meetings with Mercy, because we're very involved with Mercy.
That they're interested in partnering with us for that. They would obviously have some space for their physicians.
If they partner, what would the cost be then?
Well, it still would be the same. They would be increasing just the space for the facility.
There's questions back.
I'm sorry.
Would the plan be similar to the way the Mercy Healthplex Western Hills is run? Like if they're, as far as like the therapy, that you would partner with them and maybe on like the warm water pool up there, they'll let the Mercy facility use it a couple days a week for their therapy sessions? Is that?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit different here because at the West Claremont facility, we actually have physical therapy right in that building. Okay, there would be, the thought is to have physician offices on this location by Mercy Health, but they wouldn't have a full physical therapy. So that'd be one of the advantages is I don't think that we'd have to partner with the pool. That's always a difficulty at Western Hills because there's certain times that it's closed for physical therapy. That's a good question. Yes?
Is there any tax money?
Pardon?
Is there any tax money involved?
I'd have to ask this group.
From the township, I just want to make it understood that with $8 million that we're talking about is a lot of money. We have what we call TIF, tax increment financing. That's how we've done other things in reference to the West Park, the Shady Lake facility. We've been able to buy some fire equipment and vehicles with that. And we do have the $8 million through that TIF fund to put into this. Through legal counsel, we have found for us to spend the $8 million, we must own the property. We cannot spend that on property that is not in our name. And that's something that we've talked to the school district about, and at this point, that's one of the things, wherever this would end up at, we'd have to have the deed to that property. That is part of the way this TIF was set up by the state. So just let that be known. From our standpoint, if there's any questions from the township, we're interested in partnering, and that's where we stand, as we do have that committed to put into the facility. And that's the reason we've looked at Midtown as far as managing it. We've looked at other scenarios as far as possibly the school district managing it. So we're here tonight to get some input from you people on what you think and how much, where you want us to go as far as the type of facility. The bigger the facility, the more dollars. You know, we can do a basic pool and walking track, or we can do a full pledge, but we're here to listen and get some input from you. And I would say that, you know, we'll be here as long as you want as far as questions, but email us back your responses to the township and to the school district, and let us know what your feeling is on this, because that's something we'll take in consideration.
So if the school district puts in $4 million, they will get no ownership because it's deeded to the township?
No, we would have to own our portion of the building. It would be, you know, they would own a certain percentage and we would own a certain percentage, because it's our funds.
The actual property that would be put on would have to be in our name, but we could partner with them with an agreement that it could be a 1/3, 2/3 type ownership of the facility.
Yeah, and then just in addition to the community health complex, I mean, the whole idea is to maximally use the facilities here at the school, but also the park as well. You know, tennis lessons, things like that, that's what Midtown would also do that, to get the community more involved in the whole complex.
But when we say community, there's 5 mile radius, it's not limited to minor township residents or membership, correct? So if I live in Lawrenceburg or Harrison or anywhere like that, I can come here if I want to bring my basketball league and sign them up, play. So it's not just our.
But we're looking at different rates for different, you know, for a Three Rivers, Miami Township resident would be a different rate than somebody from Lawrenceburg or Harrison or whatever.
You mentioned $12 million, but then also the possibility of a reduced size at $8 million. Is the township still offering the $8 million if we were to reduce the size? Or does
The
that
$8 million
go-
is where we're committed to.
Okay.
Yes.
How about the operating costs before it turns a profit? So it took them a year to turn a profit. Who's funding the operating costs?
Well, again, that would have to be as far as how that's allocated, but it does make a profit, and, you know, we would, if the township's putting the majority of the money, it would probably be a prorated basis on what we put in, what the township puts in, and obviously, we will put some of the side for capital improvements, you know, pumps need replaced, roofs need replaced, so.
Just like any business.
Just like any business, so those are all details, but I think it's good about this, we want to hear what you want as a community, and what you would utilize it for, because we want it to be used, obviously, if we're going to build this project. Go ahead.
You guys have any schematics of what the 2 different or 3 different ones would look like?
We have one of the full facility, the $12 million, we do, we'll put some on the webpage for that.
We'll get those online.
Yeah, I just am curious, so I know I was back at a board meeting back in like the springtime and you did your financial reporting and it said, you know, at a certain point, we're gonna probably have to go back out for a levy. Was this $4 million possible additional ask part of that? And I think, and I don't know the year and I'm not gonna quote the year, but like 2020, 2021, 22, was that $4 million on the school district's part of that? Or would we be looking to even maybe bump that up?
Well,
if that were to be the
there's
case?
different ways we could raise funds, but that was not included in the forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your ways of raising the funds?
One is levy, obviously, or we could issue debt. We could issue debt on our own, or we could go to the voters and ask for their approval to issue that debt.
So either way, it's coming out of the taxpayer dollars. But,
What's that?
I mean, even if you issue the debt, you're eventually gonna incur enough debt to where you're gonna go to a levy earlier.
That would be one way.
I don't know that it would be going earlier. I don't know that's, because again, we're not sure when we're gonna go. And again, a lot of this is details at this point, and we've had a lot of conversation amongst ourselves. Sorry, we've had conversation amongst ourselves. To put a dollar amount on it right now, I think it's way too early, but yeah, I mean, ultimately, it would have to be some sort of financing mechanism that the taxpayers, taxpayer is going to have to foot. that young lady in the green, you hit your hand up? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much of the school is going to utilize. What's going to be the school utilization of it compared to the paid members?
You know, it's a community health complex, so that obviously the community would have first, but we, if there's a swim meet, obviously that's something would be allocated to use that for that. But, you know, those are all details we continue to work out as far as what the school would have access to and what the community. But obviously, it would, yeah, that's it. Stephanie said it'd be very similar to what the agreement is with the baseball field. So we use that on certain games, but the community as a whole uses it a lot more than the school does.
But there are times when they have to turn away, like community, because of something happening on those fields.
Yes,
Right,
it would be a
okay.
very similar situation as the West Park.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gary.
Question for the gentleman from Midtown Health. What is the annual, I want to piggyback on the question, what is the annual operating budget for the facility?
The annual, we have a pro forma that we put together.
Or you don't have to have it to the dollar, just roundabout, you know, what's,
Trying to add up the different numbers, because there's, let's see, there's about 300,000. It ends up with everything in, it's about 1.1 million.
okay. That's staffing.
And I have to, I just added those quick, so, but there is, we did a whole pro forma, and, you know, and because we've run other facilities based on the other facilities and stuff, and it's very detailed, and I'll add these up again, just to make sure I give you the right
No, and
numbers.
it's, I just was trying to get a.
Sure,
Sure. Based on what you presented then, they're on track with memberships and whatever special fees and whatever they might have. It sounds like they're ahead of budget.
Right.
And they're going to cover their operating expense, and then, as you said, the school owns that facility, the district does, so that those dollars are going back to them.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other thing too that has been mentioned is that Mercy, from leasing the medical offices, would be paying essentially the township and the school district. West Claremont, for example, they have the same thing where they have the Mercy physician offices. I know that our initial losses that we had in the first 11 months before we ramped up the membership, that the treasurer was happy because the rent that Mercy was paying for the loss. So there are revenues that will come in from the leasing of to Mercy.
Thank you.
Did Mercy offer any upfront funding for West Claremont, or has there been discussions for?
Yeah, they're a very interested partner, and obviously there's multiple ways to do that, but they've talked about a kind of a naming rights for this part of the building. So those are things we just have to continue to talk with them about.
I want to commend the board for putting up $8 million. It's a lot of money. But living in the community all my life, I used Taylor High School swimming area many years. And learned how to swim there, as many other people have. It's needed in the community, but I have a fear of the $100 a month family dues that they are presenting. We have families that can't afford to put food on the table. When you talk about the community using the pool, and I heard, Jim, you may have said that, is there a fee to those people if they use the pool when it's not being used by this club?
Well, I guess on the swim lessons, Jim, and those would probably, and we obviously know our demographics here, and we could offer potentially free lessons, but it would be the same way that Taylor did it. They, there was I guess, some cost for the swim lessons.
No.
Yeah, and you wouldn't necessarily have to be a member to take the swim lessons.
Well, I'm talking about open swim. Say if your family wants to go down and jump in the pool and swim around for 2 or 3 hours, is that going to be available to the community?
That would result in having a membership to use it.
Okay. You answered my question, thank you.
Just overall, Kevin, should maybe with the school district funding it. I think, again, $8 million from the township, that's awesome. Love the idea of this facility. But when you look at our report card from the state, I just think there are better ways to spend our money, and it's been declining. If you look at the trend in the achievement from 2014 through now, aren't there better ways to spend that $4 million? If we're gonna do that with our community? I mean, we're not giving our kids the best of everything. I'm fortunate, I have, a kid who's in the program that we're getting an A in the gifted area. That's wonderful. But when you look at our overall report card, is this really the best way to spend $4 million? We're education first. I think a strong athletic program is wonderful, but we're schools, right? Education has to come first for you guys. For you guys, the community, awesome, great, let's build a facility. That's wonderful, but let's get our grades up. A C is not awesome. When you look at the amount of Ds that we have there, $4 million, I don't understand how anybody can get behind that. If you look at our education report card.
And just to piggyback off that with the common planning time and all the changes that have come about with the school in the last few months, and that the board has decided to do because their number one ask was to improve student learning. So if that's really your number one ask, that $4 million, I totally agree, could be maybe better well spent at this time. So if there's an $8 million facility that the township is willing to purchase and run and leave the school out of it, great. You get part of that need, but maybe that other part doesn't need to happen at this time, from my perspective, obviously.
Question for you, sir. If the $8 million facility is built, somewhere down the line, is it able to be upgraded to the $12 million facility?
That'd be a question for the architect. I mean, generally, if it's built, with the understanding that it's going to be expanded, it can happen. I don't know enough about how that would have to be designed to make that
It
happen.
would increase the cost about $4 million just to tie it in. You're not gonna get the same thing for that $4 million that you put on down the road. You're gonna have additional costs just for that cost.
These are today's dollars. Down the road, when do you plan on starting this? And down the road dollars, they talked about a new high school for 10 years. It took a long time to build this school. Are these dollars gonna, when will this take place?
Unfortunately, I can't give you that direct answer.
But that number is gonna keep
This
going up.
is one of the reasons why we wanted to have this meeting, to kind of hear from you all what the expectations are, what do you want as a community, and then us as a joint partner to figure out how we can get that done. So hopefully it's not 10 years, but again, it's something we want to continue to work at and make the best decision for this community.
And I think a facility like this will help the education of the kids.
Could anybody clarify the difference in the amenities offered at the $8 million versus the $12 million? What's the additional advantage of that